What is that one counterintuitive marketing strategy that makes people stop and think instead of hitting and scrolling past? Like,
you need to have amazing hooks. I gave you four things, right? Educational, emotional, exciting, and entertaining. Use either of these four aspects and grab the first 3 seconds of their attention. If you can do that, that's it.
He's a genius in digital marketing and a mental health expert. His passion is guiding you to build habits that nourish your mind and your soul. He'll inspire you to ask the most important question in the world: how do you feel today? Get ready to meet the sweetest coach you'll ever know.
please welcome Nirmal Chandran. What are the top 3 feeling traits in coaches that naturally attract more buyers?
They should be a master of their trade. Every coach needs to have one skill, and that is honesty. If you're planning to sell something, tell them upfront. That's it. You have to be grateful for everyone and everything that's around you and keeping you alive and lively today.
All right, so guys, without further ado, please welcome Nirmal Chandran. Hi, Nirmal.
Hi, Richika. Thank you for having me over.
Thank you so much for being on the podcast. Okay. So, how did you get started in this space?
So I was a college grad, actually getting placed in an investment bank, and then decided like not to move out of town. I come from Coimbatore, so decided not to move out of town, and then I happened to meet Mr. Gopal Krishnan, the creator of the binge marketing and the WhatsApp class model. So it was like a very casual and a funny interview, and then like life so happened that I decided to stay with Gopal for 10 years, and we have collectively impacted we have in fact collectively created thousands of coaches, helped them kickstart their online coaching business, and we have definitely scaled over hundreds of people to 8 figures of plus in revenue. And then eventually for the past 3 years, we co-founded a new startup called Lifefail, and we wanted to help people initiate life-changing habits through life coaching programs, and that has been my brainchild, and it worked really good ever since. So we've been able to successfully impact over 2.5 lakh lives in the past 3 years just with Lifefail.
That's a huge number, actually. Okay. So, Nirmal, I have planned a small surprise for you. How about we start with a rapid fire? Okay.
Sure, please.
Yeah. Okay. For answering every question, you have 30 seconds. Okay. So, first question is that if budget wasn't an issue, what's that one digital tool that you would splurge on and use it for your marketing options?
Zapier.
Zapier.
It makes
All
life
right.
easier. So
Okay. What's the most desperate ad strategy you've seen up till now? Is it like effective or is it like cringeworthy?
I would say like no ads are cringeworthy. Okay, there is just one thing I follow. If it's stupid but it works, it's not stupid. So anything that can get people's attention is something I would love to explore and would love to invest more money on.
What's the single most competitive advantage every marketer should have in today's crowded digital space?
The greatest advice I've heard in marketing is, you have to be a T-shaped marketer. One thing, you have to be the best at it, and the rest of the things you have to have at least the surface knowledge. Otherwise, you cannot survive in this industry. Whatever you are, like you could be a great copywriter, you could be a great advertiser or a media buyer or a funnel builder, anything. Go deep in one skill, but go wide in every other skill that is there.
All right. Okay.
Yeah.
If you had to sum up the ultimate performance marketing in one word, what would it be?
Value.
Okay. All right. Targeting pain points in ad, is it critical or is it overrated?
So I'll keep it very simple. Your ads should have four different approaches. Okay. One, it should be entertaining, it should be educating, it should be emotional, or it should be exciting. Okay. If we can follow any of these four principles, like every ad is going to work. It's not always about pain points. It's not always about going funny or the so-called cringe. You have to have these four aspects, and like one of it would definitely work.
All right. Okay. In one sentence, how do you create an emotional connection between a brand and a buyer?
When you care for them.
Okay.
So today, being a very emotional day for the country, like Mr. Ratan Tata is no more. But why do people prefer Tata over any other brand, it's because they've always shown that they care. Simple. Likewise, any brand would have survived here. Even a fast food chain shows that they care in terms of giving people tasty food. Health is a different concern, but
Yeah.
taste is something they touch upon. So you just have to care for your prospects and they will give it back to you.
Now, this one is something out of the blue. Okay. What are the top three appealing traits in
Mhm.
coaches that naturally attract more buyers?
First, they should be a master of their trade. Okay.
Okay.
Secondly, I follow a very simple principle. Okay, it's called the 3C principle. Okay, their ability to coach, their ability to connect, and their ability to convert will actually define what kind of a coach they are. So, you asked me for three things, and I've given you.
Lovely. Lovely. Okay. What's one habit that you have that people either love or they can't stand about you?
Okay, I would rather say like I picked up a new habit, and that's reading. Okay,
Mhm.
so just in the past 10 months, I've read over 200 plus books, which has never been my rate at all. So that's not the speed in which I read. But in the past 10 months, I've developed this habit of reading, and that makes you look like you're the smartest person in the room. Simple.
People can't stand that about you.
I don't know. Like like it's a flip side. Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad.
Mm, okay. All right. Fine. Do you have any spiritual or holistic practices that influence your business decisions? And how do they shape your mindset?
So spirituality in the modern world is about being in a meditative state every time. It's not just that you have to be the monk on the top of a mountain to experience spirituality. I've been there, done that too. But I learned this advice from BK Shivani of the Brahma Kumaris. She told me, like, I had the opportunity to meet her, and she told me, like, you have to be in a meditative state wherever you are. It's very easy to leave everything, let everything go, and become a monk or a saint. But true spirituality lies in handling all these responsibilities, yet being in that meditative state while you're thriving or surviving in this world.
Wow.
Are you in a meditative state right now?
Maybe like all the time.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Fine. You have led impactful webinars. So, what are the key techniques or the psychological triggers that you use to turn your audience engagement into sales by the end of the live session?
I would rather say every coach needs to have one skill, and that is honesty. Okay. If you're planning to sell something, you just have to like tell them upfront in the first 5 minutes of the webinar. If you can tell them that if I promise to give you amazing value in the next 90 minutes, do I have your permission to present you an opportunity with which you can scale your coaching business with me, or up level your public speaking skills with me, or work on your health with me? Anything. The outcome could be anything, but you need to ask for their consent. You have to be much more honest and upfront about the fact in the first place. Then people will never have problems. You're diffusing your pressure in the first minute. Just after your introduction is done, you're diffusing the pressure. Then people would be waiting for you to like present your offer. That's it.
Absolutely. If a coach asks me, may I have your permission? I'll be like, take everything. Anyway, uh, going on to the next question. What's that one widespread lie or misconception in the coaching industry that about selling high ticket programs and that holds most coaches back from getting success?
Okay, cool. So, firstly, I'll answer the first part of the question. See, the biggest misconception I would say is anybody can coach. No, not anybody can coach. Not every Tom, Dick, and Harry can become a coach. Coaching requires mastery. So, this is my 10th year in the business. I've been like into digital marketing, Facebook ads, and off late life coaching. And I don't touch upon sensitive life coaching aspects because I still believe I don't have the mastery in it. But you ask me anything about digital marketing, I'll be answering it to you left, right, and center because like wisdom can come with time. Okay. And to become a coach, you have to be a master of your trade, and mastery takes time, or you have to learn from the masters so you get there much faster. So I've seen a lot of coaches who have just joined our workshops and then figured out that okay, this person is doing this program, it is working well, so I can also become that. I can become a manifestation coach because I don't need any qualification to become one, isn't it?
Yeah,
But people
absolutely.
don't People don't become like health coaches just like that. Rather, they choose to become a productivity coach or a manifestation coach because nobody is going to assess or analyze what your skills or credibilities are, isn't it? So
Absolutely.
that's what, like, you have to have the expertise. Coaching can happen only with expertise. Teaching anybody can do. I can read a book right now and I can present it to you. But to become a coach, you need that expertise. You need to invest a lot of your time, money, and everything to become that. There are ways to become a coach faster that you can learn from a lot of people, but it takes time. And
A
that
lot
is
of
why people are not able to sell. Like, as a follow up to the question you asked, that's why most people are not able to sell because like they are good teachers, they're not good coaches. They can teach pretty well, but when you coach, you people should come to you. I want to work with you, sir. I want to work with you, ma'am. That is something they have to ask, or they have to be in the zone ready to buy.
Moving on to the next question. Since a few decades ago, people were not knowing, like, not openly knowing what is grit, right? Everyone knew what is determination. And persistence or persuasion, all these words were like something floating in the air. But persuasion is an art. Every coach does not follow it. And persistence is crucial too. So, how do you merge persuasion techniques with grit and determination when closing deals for reluctant buyers?
Okay. I follow a very simple principle called failing faster. Okay. The faster you fail, the faster you succeed, isn't it? The more you
Right.
delay your failures, like the more you delay your success as well. So when it comes to persistence, like you cannot teach a fish how to climb a tree. But rather, what people do is they believe that is persistence. Someday I can teach a fish how to climb a tree, and that's why they fail. You need to know whether this is the actual thing that you require or not. Even in sales calls, let me tell you, like if a buyer is so reluctant, it means that we are not helping them out enough. We are not able to establish that trust well enough with them, right? Now, if you're using every other technique of like persuasion and all of it, but if you don't have that trust, it's not going to work well for you, isn't it? So you need to know, you have to learn, make enough mistakes, you need to fail faster, so that, like, whether it is in your digital marketing efforts or coaching efforts or closing efforts, you will only get to know through trial and error, because each and every individual is unique. When I teach people how to run advertisements, I always tell them one thing: you play with people, you're not playing with the ads manager dashboard. So you have to know what people expect, and how will you know that? Only through trial and error. I believe that answers your question.
That's a well said answer, actually. All right. Okay. Now, in today's world, we were talking about the people from that side of the table. Now, let's talk a bit from this side of the table. When a coach does not recover his ad spends, and he faces like a low turnout, or
Mhm.
people turn up very less on his webinars or anything, so frustration and anger can build up. That's a natural thing. So how do you suggest handling this aggression without letting it go into a mental burnout?
Okay. So as a coach, it's very important to know your why. Okay. So there is this concept called the Golden Circle by Simon Sinek. Okay. It's in his book Start with Why. Okay. So everybody knows what they are doing. Okay. Most people know how they are doing it. For instance, if you run a podcast, you know how to run a podcast, you know that you are running a podcast, but only a few people know why they do what they do. It's simple. Okay. Not everybody knows that they are purpose driven. They just do it because somebody else is doing it, or somebody would have told them that this is profitable. This is where you have to put your time and money on. So when the why is not clear, all these things will happen. Okay. So now, like, I work with 13 of my amazing coaches. Like, it's not a one man show in Lifefield. We have 13 coaches working in 13 different niches. And I have to, like, be a friend, be a consultant. Like, sometimes there will be highs, sometimes there will be lows. How do you handle these frustrations? You just have to be there for each other. Like, never be a lone man. At least have one person to work with you, so that, like, even, as they commonly say, even therapists need therapy, right? Likewise, coaches, when they go through burnout, they definitely need somebody to at least talk to, analyze, reflect. And that is one short way they can overcome. And secondly, as I said, if the why is very clear, coaches don't have to feel the burnout. And the most important thing that I want to suggest to everyone watching this, or any coach who could be watching this in the future, is if you know your lifetime value of a customer. Where does the frustration come from? When you're not able to break even, when the ad costs are going up, isn't it? Or when you're not able to sell enough high ticket deals. But if you know that you have a customer lifetime value and this is the maximum you can make out of a customer, then you're sorted. Let me tell you how this happens also. Okay. Do you use an iPhone?
Yeah.
Okay. Which model?
15?
15. Okay. What was your very first iPhone?
I think it was iPhone 7 or something.
Okay, 7 or something. And now you have stayed as a loyalist to Apple for at least 7 or 8 years. Now, Apple would have spent something on you. Okay.
Right.
Apple would have spent something on you to acquire you as a customer when iPhone 7 was launched. And since that time, I'm sure you would have changed at least 3 iPhones. You would have gotten AirPods, a MacBook, an Apple Watch.
Yes.
This is what I say when I talk about customer lifetime value. Apple knows it. All the popular brands know it. Coca Cola operating at the barest of the margins, they have repeat customers because they know the lifetime value is more important. What is happening here is like the coaching industry works on a very linear marketing strategy. You have a entry level program, you have a level 1 or level 2 as they call it, then the next level. That's it. You don't have a myriad of products. You don't have a proper system on, if people do not buy this, where should I take them? If people don't want to invest 50K with me, do I have a 20K product? Or can I just keep giving them 500 rupee courses or 1000 rupee courses which they have to pick up? Apple sells iTunes also. Okay. 99 rupees per month. They have something. They have something at 3 to 4 lakhs or more. Who knows? Right. So it's highly important. Every coach to face that burnout and overcome it, they need to have a value ladder, not in a linear way, but in a like horizontal way as well. Like it should be more like a taproot system where the root goes deeper in one area, but you also have other roots to support your tree.
Well said. Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
That's one fine answer. Thank you so much, Nirmal. You have worked with so many remarkable individuals in your lifetime. So, what are some unusual habits that you have observed which correlate with extraordinary success and how they've shaped life?
Okay. So I have a quote written right in front of my cabin. Okay. This is something I look up to every day. I'll just read it out for you. You'll be the same person in 5 years as you are today, except for the people you meet and the books you read. So everybody that I could talk about, everybody who has been an influence in my life or whom I've crossed paths, who are working with me, the ones who have thrived always had these two habits: making new connections, reading a lot of books. Otherwise, you're going to be staying stagnant. You're not going to grow better. Like when you read a book, you are pretty much getting someone's legacy. Book is a work of art. Book is someone's legacy, and you're getting it at like a few hundreds. So you're getting someone's best work at just several hundreds. And if people don't invest their time in reading, it's never going to work out. And secondly, meeting new people, you're just one connection away from taking your life to a whole new level. It's very simple. So these are the two usual or unusual habits I would say that every person I've seen or I myself follow to the fullest, because this has taken me to places, and I'm sure anybody who follows these two things blindly will definitely reach their destination much faster.
Absolutely. Okay. So we have talked about other things, but now a life wheel. It emphasizes in all the areas of life, right? The personal growth, the professional growth. So, what habits do you recommend? Your top 5 habits for maintaining a mental health while scaling a business, or while doing something which will have a long-term impact.
Okay, so the very first habit that I'd ask anybody to do it is practicing gratitude. That's it. You
Ah,
have to be grateful for everyone and everything that's around you and keeping you alive and lively today. That has been one of the greatest habits which has personally helped me. And at the same time,
yes.
everybody whom I see practices gratitude when they are in that particular zone, as in when they want to scale. Gratitude is the first habit that I would recommend for anybody. Then reading comes into the picture. Reading any given day. Like as someone who was a non-reader for the past 27, 28 years of my life and just picking up reading as a very new habit for myself, I would say reading has been extremely helpful. And the third would be I want people to create focus blocks for themselves. Okay, when you're working on something, I want you to have a certain set of focus blocks, like whether it is 20 minutes or 30 minutes or 1 hour based on your capacity. No disturbances, no distractions. Even if the world falls apart, you have to focus on your work and get it done. And fourth, and the most important thing is like spend time with the people you love. You're doing this definitely not just for you, but also for the people in your family, friends, or your closest circles. Learned it the hard way. If you cannot spend time with them and if you completely focus on work, there is no use in doing things that you do. And fifth, one thing which I don't consistently follow, but I always look up to is waking up early. Because when you wake up early, you live in a distraction free world and there is not much that you have to worry about in the morning. You can just get into the groove, you can get your things done, and it works.
All right. Those were the most subtle and the most effective five habits, guys. I really hope that at least 10% of you start inculcating these habits, and the magic is going to be grateful. I myself, I do practice gratitude every day, and I never thought that I would get Nirmal on my podcast. And see, it works.
So
Anyway,
that's the first thing I'd recommend anybody.
yeah,
Practice gratitude, more important,
right, right, absolutely. If you're happy and if you're grateful for it, maybe you'll get more tomorrow.
of course.
Now, EQ, the emotional quotient, the emotional intelligence, has been something very important nowadays. If we talk about emotional intelligence in sales, reading emotions can make or break a deal, right? To read the person's emotions. So, how has developing emotional intelligence, because you have very high EQ, I can look at you and say,
Thank
helped
you.
you handling clients, especially during tough sales situations or buyer objections?
So one thing that we commonly do in Lifefield is we never address our people as customers. We always call them the Lifefield family. Okay. So
Okay.
in
Okay.
that regard, like I keep it very comfortable because like the moment you address them as family, you can never stop caring for your family, right? So you'll always try to come up with something that would be the best for them. So this is also one sales strategy that I learned. Treat customers like they are your family members, and that would be a very short way to succeed in terms of maintaining that emotional stability or anything in sales. And secondly, there is a very popular method called trust based selling. Okay, you have to be a problem solver and not as someone who's trying to close the sale. Now, if there is something that I don't have in life field, I should not mind referring them to pick up a Satvik Movement program or a Success Gyan program. In that regard, I'm not losing anything. I'm rather becoming a problem solver for them because I am directing them to the right place when I don't have something, isn't it? So people get into that state of emotional instability in sales because they get desperate about closing that transaction. Money is important. I don't deny. Everybody needs money. Everybody needs to get into that sales. But always remember, I would like to give you a very small example here. Like even if you've made a decision to buy a particular car, if you go to a car sales showroom, the salesperson will understand your needs before they even suggest if this is the right car for you. Now, you could have picked up any car. You would have, like, it would have been your dream car also. But the thing is, the moment you walk into the showroom, you will not see that salesperson immediately explaining the car, right? A good salesperson will understand your needs and then tell you, okay, yes, this is a fantastic choice. How would you like to proceed? Isn't it?
Right.
Yeah. So if you have to sell insurance without selling death, you need to establish trust. That's it. So when you operate from a trust-based selling perspective, people will come back to you. We have had people coming back to our coaching programs 2 years from the time they joined us, 3 years from the time they joined us, or even more. Why? Because at that point, when they had interacted with us, we only tried to solve their problems. And what goes around comes around.
Absolutely. uh, I do genuinely, this is my personal opinion, that trust based selling, yes, that is true. But once the trust is broken, then it is very hard to retain the customer, because you can only gain their trust as long as you have to sell them something. But what happens after that? After you sell them, not every coach is going to give you too much value in that first ticket. He's going to want you to come to the second ticket. Isn't it a bit breach of your trust?
I'd rather put it in a very different way. See, since we teach people habits, like on an average, so many studies suggest that it takes 66 days for somebody to pick up a habit and work on, not even 21 days. Okay. And we run 14-day programs. What do? We educate them. Okay. We educate them. Simple. Like you can follow this for 66 days and you can eventually become better. But if you don't follow, like I can take the spoon till your mouth, I can even force it into your mouth, but it's your choice to swallow it or not, right? There are people who get results. Now, if Richika joins any one of her programs, she is getting result, and the other person is probably not getting the same. There could be only two reasons. It is that either we have not followed up with them enough, or we have not held them accountable enough, or they might have not followed the program as and how it is presented. So there is only 50% that you can take the blame on, isn't it? And that you should be open to doing it, because when you are not giving them a good experience, sometimes the problem could be you, sometimes the problem could be them. But we have to find that balance. And eventually, when you operate from a space of trust, okay, you're not breaching anything. Everybody knows that in 14 days, I'm here to learn. I'm not here to change my life completely. But even if you can give a little bit of transformation, that is the trust which you are talking about. And people, it's not that you have to change your life by choosing my advanced program. No, we don't sell like that. We clearly tell them our advanced programs are our journeys. If you want to continue the journey with us, pick up a 3-month program with us, a 6-month or a 1-year program with us. That's it. We do teach advanced techniques, yes, but whatever we give inside the 21-day programs or the 14-day programs is sufficient enough for anybody to pick it up, learn, and practice. People join any high ticket program only for accountability. So I could be selling a high ticket program, you could be selling a high ticket program. What are we going to sell? We'll be definitely talking about health, we'll be definitely talking about wealth, we will be definitely talking about relationships, career, everything comes in, isn't it? Every high ticket program operates somewhere around this. A health coach could be talking about relationships. A relationship coach could be talking about breath work. A breathwork coach could be suggesting you can practice this as a healer and become like start making money. Everywhere, everything comes in. They choose the mentor to spend the time with. They don't choose the program, they choose the mentor. And it's only the accountability that people pay for. This is my strong opinion towards high tickets. It's never what's inside the program. It's more about whom I'm traveling my time, my journey with. Simple.
I think I have asked the right question to the right person, because that was one of the outstanding answers. Everyone's going to enjoy this.
Thank
Anyway, then moving on to the next question. Now, all these, Netflix series or
you.
anything you watch online, it kind of influences you, right? Before, it was only a relationship, marriage, arranged marriage, love marriage. Now it is like breadcrumbing, situationship, this and that, and this and that. So this was basically a question what I would, love to ask you. How do you think that lacking emotional control affects both professional and personal life, and poor emotional intelligence, it is going to drastically derail your professional and personal life? So I wanted three advices from you for the young generation to learn how to control their emotions and not just flow with.
Okay. So the first thing that I would recommend anybody to do is like having an open communication. It's
Okay.
very simple. Like whether it is with my business partners or my family members or like my friends, close circles, loved ones, anybody, again, this was a result of so many failures in the past. And that's why I'm telling you, communication is the key. There are times where you believe that hiding things from them would make much more sense, but rather conveying the truth is so easy, and like you could just get a momentary scolding than probably having to hide it, multiply your lies for the rest of your life. So I would say having a very open communication could solve most things here. And secondly, talking about the kinds of relationships that we have these days, I'm nobody to comment on that. I respect people and their opinions, their orientations, their choices, and everything. But at the end of the day, like if there is a lot of transparency within, there won't be any sort of emotional issues, isn't it? If you can establish transparency with your parents, with your loved ones, your partner, your business owner, where does issues come from for relationships or emotions when there is no transparency, isn't it?
Yeah.
So just a byproduct of communication, being transparent, but being overly transparent is also issues at times. But you need to have that balance. And the third thing that I would probably suggest is, people need to make peace with the fact that not everything they see on the internet is true. The definition of an ideal couple, the definition of an ideal traveler, the definition of an ideal businessman. We know how much we have to break our heads into getting something cross the line. So people believe that, these days I've seen so many business consultants on Instagram. They will tell you like how you can start a particular business with just 1 lakh, or they will walk into a store and they'll show you, okay, this is how you can make this business. It's not ideal. Everybody has to go through some sort of hardships. Even if you are a second generation or a third generation entrepreneur, let me tell you, it's worse than being a first generation entrepreneur because you have to carry the legacy, isn't it? So no road is a bed of roses. People need to stop idealizing the fact that, okay, just like how somebody was able to get results, like there could be a 1 in 1,000, 1 in 1 million, but you just have to understand that they've gone to that particular place. Virat Kohli has become Virat Kohli because he had very strong habits. He had very strong grit, discipline, and everything. Cristiano Ronaldo, if you read about his story, he was sweeping the streets of Madeira, Portugal at the age of 10, and now he is the most influential person on the planet. These things do not happen if you just visualize. You have to believe, emote, you have to channelize your emotions, you have to act, and only then become. This is what I teach about manifestation. This is what I tell people. You cannot just write affirmations, journaling, like do the journaling, like visualize and make things happen. You have to emote, you have to channelize that in your emotions, you have to act, and you have to eventually become. And there is a shortcut for this, probably, to handle the emotional burnout or something like, somebody has become this, I'm not able to become that. Somebody has a ideal relationship, but mine is a mess. If you want to be successful, if you want to have a successful relationship, if you want to have a successful career, pick someone up, copy their habits. That's it. If you want to become Virat Kohli, you have to copy what Virat Kohli does. And this was the very first advice that I heard from Gopal when I joined in back in 2015. If you want to become the world's best magician, you have to copy what the world's best magician does. So this applies in the areas of health, wealth, relationships, or anything, career, wherever it is. If you want to have a successful relationship, copy what people who have successful relationships do. I believe that answers your question again.
Oh, it does. It does. I'm running out of adjectives for saying well said.
Thank you.
Okay. Now, speaking of your favorite topic, that is digital marketing. Yeah.
Hmm.
Um, See, with ads constantly bombarding consumers from every angle, what is that one counterintuitive marketing strategy that makes people stop and think instead of hitting and scrolling past? Like I'm gonna hit skip, I'm gonna scroll past. No,
Hmm.
what is that one thing which is going to be out of their intuition? And I'm like, okay, what is it? I want to see it.
So that's a very good question. You might think I'm speaking a little bit old school, but you need to have very powerful hooks. Okay. You need to have powerful hooks, as in, now let's say I come in dressed as a dinosaur for
Mm-hmm.
whatever reason. Okay. Selling a manifestation program, I come in dressed as a dinosaur. And a dinosaur talks about manifestation. Will I not grab people's attention at least for 3 seconds?
Of course, of course.
Isn't it?
Yes.
So likewise, you need to have amazing hooks. I gave you four things, right? Educational, emotional, exciting, and entertaining. Use
Right.
either of these four aspects and grab the first 3 seconds of their attention. If you can do that, that's it. Like, I won't say a counter intuitive strategy or something. If you can make them grip for 3 seconds in a world where people don't even spend a second to watch, or like they just keep skipping reels, if you can earn 3 seconds of their time, you're already winning. And however you could do that, you could do that. But it's okay to use relevant hooks rather than coming up with totally irrelevant ones. Or if you're coming up with an irrelevant one, you have to connect the dots accordingly, If you have to make someone sit for 60 seconds and watch your ad, even if a dinosaur speaks about manifestation, there has to be a resonance, there has to be a connect, and that would be the way forward. Or otherwise, like the easiest way to do it is educate. Out of all the four things that I suggested, if you can educate people, nothing like it. People love being educated. People love learning facts.
Okay. So educating hooks might work more. Um,
Worked well for me in the past, so I
okay.
believe it will work for others as well.
That's a great piece of advice. I think tomorrow, if I do think of starting something, or at least, put some video, I'll put a educating hook in the start.
Yeah, you can
Just
try anything exciting, emotional, entertaining, anything, but play around and find balance between all these things.
I think so. I had seen Gopal sir's. There was some ad where he was sitting on a rocket and the Skyfall music was going behind, and
Yes.
that was pretty intriguing to watch. Because I think so he had dressed up as Iron Man or something, but I really liked that hook. And I was like, who is that, head of marketing who's doing this? The one who's designing this
I
ads.
used to be the head of marketing for Gopal, but now I'm
Oh,
working on life field, and like I've completely dissociated myself. Like I'm just a mentor in that program, and I started focusing more on life field. Yeah, but yeah, like it's pretty interesting. Gopal is a man of hooks and offers, so
yeah.
love working. Like it's absolute love working with Gopal
I'm also manifesting for, hoping to have Gopal sir on the podcast.
for sure. You're just
Okay.
one connection away, as in like one push away from having Gopal here. He's just
Fingers
sitting across the room.
crossed. Right. Okay. Uh, See, when you're targeting the customer in their pain points, yeah, in the ads,
Hmm.
how do you find that fine line addressing their needs and not coming off as a brand who's desperate to sell your product? There's this fine
Isn't
line in between.
isn't it about educating them again?
Well, it is, but see, here it is like I want to sell my product. So no matter what pain points you have, I will
Hmm.
take all those pain points and I will connect it to my product
Hmm. Hmm.
because I am desperate to sell my product.
Hmm. This is
So it's
again a
that.
age-old advice people give you, like make
Okay.
people buy, never sell. If you have
Uh,
something,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
make people buy. How do you make people buy? That point you become less desperate.
Right.
Only when you are in an intent to sell, you become desperate. But when you want to make people buy, no car salesman, again, I'll bring that example, will be desperate enough to close you there.
Right.
Isn't it? Yeah. Make people buy from you. That's all. Make people choose you, whether it is a Tata over Maruti or Maruti over Tata, it doesn't matter, but people have to choose. I had a choice in choosing my own car, despite like having multiple showrooms in the same road. They made me buy. That's it. They did not sell.
Would like to meet that salesperson who made you buy a car.
Yeah, in fact, he convinced me for a different car, like altogether. So I went in for a different car, and he convinced me for a very different car. So he did not
Okay.
force.
All right. There was one more question on, for the digital marketing strategist inside you.
Mm,
Have you ever noticed that there are certain types of ads that
mm,
the consumers they make the consumers more vulnerable and they start impulsively buying? Everyone knows that creating urgency and everything is there. Buy now, two spots left, please. Yes, but there are ads which make them they attack their vulnerability, not the pain points where they are vulnerable at.
mm.
So, what's the psychology behind that, and how do you ethically leverage it?
When you are attacking people on their vulnerability, like if you can be vulnerable on your ads as well, like I would say it works. Because if you have been in that state, and if you can openly acknowledge that and tell people, okay, if you're also stuck very similar to me, then join my program. It's a two-way thing, isn't it? If you're attacking people on the vulnerable aspects of them, I urge everybody to be vulnerable as well. You have to be open enough to share your story, so that when will you be able to attract with these kind of ads is when you see other person going through that same kind of a journey, isn't it?
Right.
So if a diabetic comes out and tells people like they have become a health coach, they were a diabetic previously, and they are vulnerable enough to tell people that I used to be a diabetic, not anymore, because I was able to follow this, and this. And if you're in a very similar state, like how I was 3 years ago or 4 years ago, whenever it happened, is there a problem? I don't think so. Or otherwise, if you're just talking about you are living a life of misery, your sugar levels are high, hmm, your blood glucose is like over the roof, that doesn't work. If you want people to be attacked on their vulnerabilities, you have to be vulnerable enough to share your story.
Oh, okay. All right. Okay. Moving on to the second last question of the podcast. Whenever a customer wants to buy something, he has these mental barriers.
Hmm.
Okay. Can you give me two pieces of advice to help the salespeople approach them and fight that buyer hesitation? Because initially
Uh,
it's just to buy. Later on, they are like, no, maybe next time.
hmm.
So, how should we fight that hesitation?
So I'd probably suggest this book, like Robert Cialdini's famous book, Influence: The Psychology of Persuasion. This book has answers for everybody and everything. Like anybody who wants to get into sales, anybody who wants to start off with dealing objections, trying to convert people. Influence is the book, and I urge people to strongly read that. He also has a book called Persuasion, but I would say read Influence first, and then you can go ahead and read the other one out. As I told you, like books are knowledge mines. This book has definitely helped us. There are 6 principles he talks about, and it has worked very well for me.
Yeah. Well, I am hoping to get him also on the podcast one day.
Manifest.
Manifesting. Anyways, moving on to the last question of the day, Nirmal. Your top three sales strategies for the beginners in sales.
Okay, operate with integrity and trust. Simple. If again, as I said, like don't be the person who's trying to close the sale. Act as a problem solver. So that can only happen when you have integrity and trust, and use the psychological triggers wisely, as in your like urgency, FOMO, and everything. Never get too desperate on that. Just use them wisely. You can tell them like the batch is about to start in 2 days. That's a sense of urgency, but you have to pay right now for a batch that is happening on Monday, otherwise the discount is gone. No. So use the psychological triggers wisely. And third, know when it's time to let go of a sale. And I'll
Ooh,
add a bonus piece of advice. The
sure.
money is in the follow up, and you have to follow up with people till they buy or till they die. Simple. So number
Yeah.
3 and 4 could be contradictory.
Yeah.
Sometimes no matter how much you force, like it'll not happen instantly. So that's a momentary thing that I'm talking about. But the same person over the course of time, if you closely look at telecallers, if you scold them today, if it's their third call or fourth call, and you scold them today, they have a cool down period. After 1 month, the same person will connect. And that's what I say, like when you have to figure out when it's time to let go of a sale at that moment, and secondly, following up with people till they buy or till they die. Simple.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Nirmal. That was super awesome. I really, really hope that you guys are overwhelmed, not just enjoyed, but you overwhelmed because of this podcast. And I hope to see you in the next podcast. But before that, you can find Nirmal on Facebook. Of course, you are all going to be rushing to buy the courses, small, small courses, but amazing courses. Lifewheel.co, the website link is given below. You can go on it, you can find Nirmal, and you can also book a strategy call with Nirmal if you're a coach, no matter what you can do. You can find him on YouTube also. He has a challenge, a habit challenge going on. Even there, you can watch him. And Nirmal, any last words for the audience?
Yeah. So if you're a coach, if you're a digital marketer, or if you're someone who is passionately wanting to start something, like I want you to understand this fundamental principle. Okay. People fail because they either over provide or under provide value. I want you to remember this very strongly. Value is like water. Too much is just as bad as too little. Too much becomes flooded, too little becomes a drought. So you need to find that balance in providing the right amount of value to your prospects, and that will help you establish a value ladder, and people can eventually buy from you step by step. and continue their journey with you.
That was more deeper than the Bermuda Triangle.
Thank you.
All right.
So,
Thank
thank you so much for having me over, Richika. And it means so much that I'm here as a part of your podcast and like wishing you massive success in everything you do. Yeah,
thank you so
wishing you the
much.
best in everything you do. And the ones who have watched this podcast, thank you so much for spending your valuable time on us. It means everything. And may you initiate lifelong and life changing habits with Life Wheel.
Thank you, Nirmal. Guys, peace out. Till the next episode. See you soon.